I'm Derek Joyce and I'm here with Paul Onwarda, and this is I'm Not the Expert, but this is a podcast where we'll discuss everything from the most complex ideas that we know nothing about to the simplest ideas that we probably know nothing about either. So put the kettle on, get comfy and join us. Right, we're back on fucking lovely, pissy, rainy Friday.
Yeah, what a day.
Jesus Christ.
Yellow rain warnings for the whole country.
Yeah, yellow rain warnings.
Yeah.
Yellow snow warnings.
No, yellow rain warning.
No, you know what yellow snow is?
Oh, right, sorry, yeah. Don't eat yellow snow.
Warnings.
Don't eat yellow snow.
Yeah, don't eat yellow snow.
Best advice you could ever get.
You know those lists that are interesting facts that everybody should know?
Yeah.
Well, I was reading one of them and it was really boring, and it was exactly that everyone would know these facts. They were just, if there was an interesting...
Like, I know that.
Not that one.
Yeah.
Well, I went and compiled a list on interesting facts that
few
nobody
people
knows.
Would know.
Yeah, well, no, I can't say nobody because that's not...
It's pretty finite, that.
But very few people are going to know. Okay. And I'm going to start...
I won't know any of them.
Oh, you know what? You're going to. Okay. And I started with an easy one that lots of people of a certain... I don't want to say disposition because it sounds really ambiguous.
Yeah. I wouldn't even say ambiguous, I'd say arrogant, but anyway, go on.
Okay, I'll just lay into it then. Apparently, Daniel Radcliffe was allergic to the first pair of glasses he wore on the set of Harry Potter.
Oh my, okay, yeah. Took me a minute to remember who Daniel Radcliffe was. Yes,
well, that's what I said. People of a certain, not disposition, inclination, a certain fan set would know this. They're sitting there listening to this going, I knew that. And that's exactly what it is.
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know who Daniel Radcliffe was for a minute, so I definitely didn't know that. Yeah. So I'd imagine that was some kind of nickel thing, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. No, I've got a nickel allergy. Horrible.
Yeah,
horrible
the frames
thing.
were a nickel. What happens to you?
I break out.
I break out is a very general statement.
They're basically like little pin prick blisters, but they weep, and they are incredibly itchy.
They weep?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, it's horrible.
And where would you break out?
Wherever I have nickel, so if I'm wearing a watch
and it has nickel composite in it. Yeah.
And actually, here's one for you. I got a tattoo years ago, and the yellow and red ink in it had nickel in the ink.
Oh, I'd say that was fun.
And my arm went up about 3 times its size and was in agonising pain for
so
about 2 weeks.
Muscles.
Yeah, I was like Popeye before I was, but then all the ink bled out, so it's basically like pink, and you can't even see the yellow now. It's like, I can show it to you here, Dal. Obviously can't show the listeners, but I mean, the ink just literally blew out.
An image.
Yeah, I will actually, I'll put a photograph up on the Facebook page. All the red and yellow ink just basically blew out. But and it turned out there's nickel in tattoo.
And how long did it take the nickel-based ink to bleed out, or did you get it?
It was over a few months.
Right, okay. So your body just rejects it.
Just literally rejected it. Yeah, literally rejected the ink.
But so if your nickel allergy affects you in the location that nickel is being applied to your skin in whatever form, that means he had some sort of reaction
on his face,
around his eyes, where the frames of your glasses sit over your ears, and to the sides of your faces, and the bridge of your nose.
God.
Jesus Christ, and I wonder how quick it came up.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it's pretty quickly now.
He rocked up on set as the kid that we all know in the first Harry Potter movie, and he had a reaction to the nickel composite glasses that he wore. And immediately they changed them to a hypoallergenic frame.
Cool.
Which suited him perfectly. And while we're on it, he didn't have lenses in his glasses.
That's quite common in movies.
Yeah, it is.
Because you get the reflection of cameraman and different things,
and the
lens.
set. And I mean
and lights and whatever.
The lights you would want, but if the light source, if they're doing a scene that's outside, and I'm thinking of the fourth Harry Potter movie where they're out at night and it's the light of the moon.
Right.
Obviously, that light would have to be
generated in post-production or After Effects or something like that. So all the lights from the sets
like that
would all be bouncing off the lenses of the glasses, which I knew, but I never considered. So so it was fucking weird. They do so much in movies that we don't realise.
That you don't even,
Yeah.
That is the sign of a good effect, is that you don't even know it's an effect. Like,
it's a sign of a good movie.
Yeah.
It's a sign of a good movie when they're thinking of things that you didn't even consider. And possibly they didn't even consider before they started.
Yeah.
Like I know from working on sets, there's so much gets thrown up at you that you have to deal with and go,
on the fly, absolutely.
We didn't think of that.
No amount of production meetings can cover it. I mean, sure, look, even doing a podcast now. I mean, we have our little production meeting on a Thursday, and half of that goes out the window as soon as we start talking. Absolutely.
There's always something to deal with.
I can imagine what that's like on a movie set with, 1,000 extras or something. Jesus, be great crack.
Fucking hell. But that's what makes it fun.
Actually, speaking of movie extras, I was in Michael Collins.
Were you?
Yeah, I was coming back from Wexford on the train, and they were filming the scene with Liam Neeson and Julia Roberts are saying goodbye to each other on the platform.
Right, okay. Which part did she play?
Kieran, wasn't it?
I can't remember. It was a fucking
she was love interest.
Terrible film.
It's not bad.
It's a fucking terrible film.
It's really historically inaccurate.
Yeah, it is. That's why it's a terrible film.
But anyway, basically, yes. So we pulled in and this big bloody steam train, there's smoke everywhere. What the hell's going on here, As we stepped off the train, we were basically handed a tweed jacket and a tweed hat and told to walk down the platform. And then there was someone at the other end of the platform to collect the jacket and hat off.
You did get paid for it?
No.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Did you see yourself in the film?
I've tried to see that. Come here, look, there's loads of people walking up and down the platform. Like, it's...
Yeah.
But basically, it was the only way they could do it because Connolly wouldn't allow them to shut down the station for the day.
Yeah.
So rather than have people in 24th century clothes or whatever, 20th century clothes...
They just used what they could.
Walking by, they just literally put you in a tweed jacket and a hat and sent you down the platform, like...
What's a single string of spaghetti called? You know the pasta that you buy in packets?
A noodle?
Nope.
No.
Two completely different things.
I know that, but Americans call spaghetti noodles. They literally call them spaghetti noodles.
Yeah, but that's probably a really heavily processed food item they're talking about.
Possibly in
America. I'm sure that's not
different.
A piece of pasta. Because pasta is wheat, flour, and
semolina based, isn't it?
Yeah, or something like that. And a noodle is egg based. So they are two completely different things. Okay. I'll get back to that. What's a male ballerina called?
A ballerino.
So what's a single string of spaghetti called?
A spaghetto.
A spaghetto.
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 Spaghetto. I like that. Okay, cool.
Sorry, Italy. Fucking.
Just like a mum, I make it.
Yeah. You should have stopped it. You should have just left it with spaghetto because that was fucking atrocious. Okay. Back when dinosaurs existed, and you'll like this.
Okay.
Back when dinosaurs existed, so 66 million years ago, there were still volcanoes erupting on the moon.
On the moon?
On the moon.
Okay, cool.
Isn't that deadly? Well, it stands to reason because
that's quite the fireworks show in the night sky, isn't it?
The moon, they theorise, was created because Earth took a glancing blow from
an asteroid,
another, not even an asteroid, but another proto-planet.
Okay, so like when large asteroid.
But that's why it was a glancing blow. It didn't obliterate it.
Yeah.
But it was the proto solar system was being formed. The moon had just the sun had just kind of ignited, and
and I'm pretty sure the Earth hadn't cooled at that stage either. Now, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think.
But it couldn't have, because I mean they were the whole solar system was one
just being
big
formed, basically,
fire pit of things bouncing off each other and that kind of thing.
It was billiard table.
That's how they theorised the moon was built. So as the moon coalesced into the moon that we know now, there would have still been volcanic eruptions on it. So that's just business.
What a night show, though. That would be class to look up at the.
I wonder, would you have seen any of it?
Yeah, I don't know. Actually,
it's 300,000 kilometres away. Yeah. Or approximately. There'll
some pretty big volcanoes for you to see.
Yeah. So there you go. Leaving a party. Have you ever left a party without thanking a host?
Don't think so. It's quite rude.
You've never just ducked out of a party, haven't had
I don't go to a lot of parties, in fairness. No, I don't. No. Oh, yeah, there was one where we robbed a couple of bottles of whiskies and ran.
Yeah, that's
not quite the same thing.
We even invited to that. Yeah, that's not the same thing.
Maybe.
But leaving a party without thanking a host, in England, that's known as the French exit.
Okay.
The French exit can be traced back as far as 1751.
Okay.
So it's not something that happened
parties
recently.
back then?
Oh, Jesus, I'm sure. Like, look at it. We, in a previous podcast, we did the chocolate and popcorn gods. Remember I was telling you about chocolate coming to Europe? And all the nobility had all their silver plattered paraphernalia to eat their chocolate in.
Yeah.
I'm sure there would have been parties, chocolate parties and chocolate fucking orgies and everything. I'd say there would.
Chocolate orgy.
Yeah, chocolate orgy just sounds messy and
just
fucking waking up the next morning and disgusted with yourself. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be into it.
And they wouldn't have showers back then either.
So it can be traced as far back as 1751. So yes,
cool.
In the US, it's known as the Irish goodbye.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, I don't get that. Like, to me, an Irish goodbye would be like where you say goodbye 50 times before you actually
That would be more, bye. And which I don't understand here, because when I'm talking on the phone, and when I'm talking to you on the phone, there's a million goodbyes.
Yeah.
And I just say, okay, see you later, bye.
Yeah,
That's
we
it.
just don't know how to end conversations.
I do. Listen to me, I just hang up.
As people, as a race, as a nation, we just don't know how to end conversations. But, we're famous for our hospitality and our good manners in the main.
Which I will get onto in a minute.
Right, so I just find it, I do find it a little bit irksome that the Americans refer to that as
Okay, but I will explain that.
Okay, all right, go on. And it better be a good explanation, because I'm pissed off.
It's not a good explanation.
Okay.
The Irish goodbye only appeared in newspapers and pop culture in the last 12 to 13 years. Or so it said. In the evidence that I found when I was looking for it, because I was irked about it as well. I was like, you fucking cheeky bastards. We built your fucking country.
And we're polite and nice and,
Yeah, after that being said, after I said we built your fucking
we thank bus drivers. No other country in the world thanks their bus drivers.
Everybody should thank their fucking bus drivers.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank their servers.
And I love that Dublin Bus actually used that in their recruitment advertisement. Their slogan was "Be thanked for a living."
Yeah.
Which I just thought was, that's really cool.
It's great. It only surfaced around 12 or 13 years ago. I actually like to think there's a guy or a girl somewhere in the world at this moment
listening to this
going, they're fucking talking about me. I started saying that 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Fucking nice one.
If you are listening, please make contact, because I'd like a word.
Nah, don't mind him, he's a step. Okay, not to be outdone by the English.
Right.
Calling it a French exit. The French call it partir l'anglais.
Right.
To leave the English way.
Hang on, I'm just going to pull you back. Right, so you've told me that the Irish welcome, or the Irish goodbye, started about 14 years ago. But you haven't told me why, or what's the thinking behind it. Where's it come from? What's Irish about legging it without saying thanks?
I think it's a lot of countries just taking a shot at each other.
Right, okay.
Especially with the English and French. And I'll get on to the Polish and the Germans and the Dutch and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, but why would the Americans having a shot at us?
Because the Americans fucking take a shot at everybody.
That's true. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so the Germans say to leave the Polish way.
Right.
And the Polish say to leave the English way.
Okay, this is getting more and more complicated.
So it's the English saying leave the French way. It's the French saying leave the English way. It's the Germans saying leave the Polish way. And it's the Polish saying leave the English way.
So this has an old enemy kind of vibe to it.
It really does, doesn't it? It's everybody taking broad shots at each other.
At their neighbours.
Yeah, it really does seem like it. But the Dutch have had the worst time of it.
Okay.
And you've heard of loads of this.
Right.
To go Dutch, what does that mean?
It's when you split the bill on a meal or whatever, rather than, traditionally the man, or I'm just going to say one partner paying paying the bill. When you go Dutch, you split it
Okay, well,
on a date.
I would say yes, it is the man, but I wouldn't say traditional.
No, it's more common now that
Because the man would be expected to pay.
yeah, but I think that's less common now.
It is way less common now.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why it's seen as an insult to say going Dutch.
No, I would think
or
it's a
another
compliment.
phrase
It's
for it is Dutch treat.
No, it's
I don't see.
very progressive, I would have thought.
Yeah, I don't see why any other country saying, "No, you're fucking going Dutch," would be aimed as an insult.
I know what
at
you
the
mean.
Dutch.
Like, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's-
so the Dutch men are seen as stingy, are they, or something, like, you know?
or tight-fisted or whatever, and it's not. It's just fucking good manners.
It is,
You
yeah.
go- when you go out with your friends, or even when you go out on a date, and I've been out on dates where one of us has said we're both paying this,
Yeah.
and which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I mean, yes,
Or I think how I would have worked it.
treat your partner.
in the
Treat your
early-
partner.
Yeah, like in the early stages of our relationship, it would have been I'd pay 1 week, she'd pay the next week, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? And that's still very much the case actually now, 19 years later. 18 years later, sorry.
Yeah, you should get that right.
Oh, I know, yeah.
But yeah, it's just not fucking normal behaviour. And I'd be more concerned with the fucker who goes out with his friends and expects somebody else to foot the bill.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
this, or even this thing, and I've seen so many arguments over this where, like, let's say it's a group, you know, work colleagues, whatever, and it's like everyone agrees that we're going to pay an equal share, and then some guy orders lobster and steak, you know?
Yeah, no, that never
that's
worked for me.
taking the piss
I
as
used
well,
to, I'd
like.
go out with friends, and I'm not saying in what country or anything like that, because I've been in loads of places and I have loads of friends, and I'm not.
You're
I'm not
like
pointing
so
a finger
well
at-
travelled. I've never lived outside of Dublin.
We'll get on to that at some stage.
Yeah.
But it's one friend would have a friend of theirs with them, and they're always welcome into the group.
Of
and
course,
it's like,
yeah.
look, everybody's gonna. If we all throw in 20 quid at the end of the day, then we've covered the bill and we've covered the tip and everything, and we all go, yeah, grand, okay, we'll all do that. And then some fucker
We'll order
orders a
40
starter,
euro worth of food.
orders
Yeah.
a starter, orders a main course, orders a dessert, and then I'll have a tea at the end of it,
Yeah.
and an aperitif or
Yeah.
something.
And it's 40 quid worth of stuff
And you're
or
like,
whatever.
what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That doesn't do it for me at all now either.
No. So, I mean, I don't understand why going Dutch or Dutch treat is deemed as offensive.
No.
But it's still a shot at the Dutch.
Okay.
Okay? And there are more of them.
Okay.
The origins of going Dutch are from the English-Dutch wars in the mid-16
See the
to
trend here with the
1700s.
English being the bad guys in a lot of these. Anyway, go on.
So there were 4 wars in the mid-1600s, 1700s between the Dutch and the English, and they were naval wars.
Yeah.
And it was around that time, for Dutch treat anyway, they were taking shots at each other, metaphorically speaking.
Tit for tat kind of thing.
Tit for tat, you know,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
going Dutch is not taking your friend out and treating them to a meal and fucking leave the English way or whatever it was. You know, they all had their broad shots at each other.
Right.
So I think societally they were just, oh, the fucking Dutch, oh, the fucking English. You know, that kind of way.
Yeah.
So it was stupid. But there are others. There's Dutch courage,
Yeah, obviously Dutch courage.
alcohol-related bravery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody's heard this before.
And has that got to do with like in my head now? I've no kind of historical research done on this or anything else, but what were the Dutch famous for going into battle pissed? That's what
I
it
don't
kind
know.
of sounds like.
And
you know?
I don't know where Dutch courage comes from, and I couldn't find
It
any.
seems the only logical kind of explanation for it, doesn't it? That they were kind of known for.
What, going in hammered?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a good military
No, it doesn't.
tactical move. No, I wouldn't say.
No one said
I mean,
that.
they do it once and go, fucking, that didn't work, lads. So, no, I
Nobody said
don't
the
know.
Dutch were good military tacticians.
But Dutch courage. I remember I went out on a date years ago, and I was meeting this girl, and she was great looking, and you know the nerves get at you before or whatever. And I was like, fucking Dutch courage. So I met up with my friends, and they were like, have you met her yet? And I was like, no, I'm going to meet her tonight. And they were like, oh, Dutch courage. And I was like, fuck yeah. And so I had a couple of pints, and it was you loosen up your speech, you drop your shoulders, and you just relax a bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
I never done the whole dating.
So I did Dutch Courage, and then I went and I met her, and initially it started great, and she was anxious, and she was like, look, fucking...
I need some Dutch Courage.
Dutch Courage. And I was like, yeah, okay. So we had a few more points, but I was already 2 or 3 up.
Right, yeah.
So about an hour and a half into it, I was
This date didn't end well, did it?
Yeah, didn't end well. Well, it ended fast.
Yeah, I never done the whole dating thing. I just kind of randomly stumbled from one long-term relationship to another, you know?
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
No, it's not really.
No, it doesn't sound like a plan at all.
Stumbled into it, like, you know. Yeah, like the shortest I've been in a relationship for was like 2 years. I never did the whole dating thing.
Double Dutch.
Lucky in that sense, I suppose.
Double Dutch. Speaking gibberish. I don't understand that as well.
Well, is it because the Dutch language is so difficult to understand?
It's difficult to understand if you don't
then
speak
if you
it.
double that.
If you don't speak it.
Yeah,
English is fucking impossible to understand if you don't speak it.
And to us native speakers of English, I mean, Polish sounds pretty... And the pronunciations and all those Zs
German, and Japanese and Russian.
So any language that's foreign to your ears is going to sound
it's
like...
relative.
So again, it's just pick on the Dutch day.
I don't understand why it's double Dutch is speaking gibberish.
Yeah, no,
and I've heard it before. When I was a kid, I heard adults saying it. Yeah. Just didn't get it.
I always just took it, that kind of Dutch was such an obscure language. But when you put it like that, every language that you don't speak is pretty obscure to you, Yeah, so it's just, as I said, pick on the Dutch day and everybody's playing.
Yeah, it's so, that's what I'm saying. That's what I said at the beginning, is the Dutch have had it worse than anybody. When people are taking broad shots about...
Or just kind of generalising.
Your society does that.
It's just kind of generalisation, isn't it? Yeah.
So, Dutch oven.
Oh God, I knew this was coming.
What's a Dutch oven?
I didn't know what a Dutch oven was. I had heard of it, but I wasn't too sure what it was until you mentioned it to me the other day. Oh my God. I'll let you explain it, though. I'm not even going to go there.
A Dutch oven is when you're in bed with your partner and you fart and hold her head under the blankets and shout, Dutch oven!
That is domestic abuse, man. That's disgusting.
I didn't say I approve. Anyway, I was going back to the Irish goodbye. I think that's an exception. I think the Irish goodbye is an exception to the rule.
Yeah, it's just wrong.
We've already established that we think
it's unfair.
No, we've already established that we think it's a shot at a nation by another nation to leave the French way, partir l'anglais, to leave the German way, to leave the Polish way. And all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think that the Irish goodbye is the exception to the rule.
Okay, as in it's a compliment?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could be biased, probably because I'm Irish.
Do elaborate though, I'm interested to know, because I'm miffed.
We've all seen in Ireland an incarnation of Mrs. Doyle from Father Ted in some way, shape or form.
Oh yeah.
Whether you bring to a friend's house or a girlfriend's house, or whether it's your ma or whether it's your auntie or whoever it is, you've all seen an incarnation of Mrs. Doyle.
Oh God, yeah.
Will you have a cup of tea?
Yeah.
And no, I'm grand. Come on, will you have a cup of tea?
Yeah.
We are a nation of hospitality titans.
Absolutely.
In this fucking country.
Absolutely. You know what? And for us, it's completely normal. It's only when you go abroad, and as I said, I haven't lived abroad, but people, on holidays and stuff, and it just doesn't happen where you go into someone's home and they feed you, as the norm. They're shoveling food down your gob the minute you walk in the door. It doesn't happen. To my knowledge, it doesn't happen in other societies, in other countries. It's a very, very Irish thing.
Again, in countries I've been in where I've gone to meet parents, they've never been anything but the absolute most fantastic host.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
it's never been to the extent that an Irish man.
Other cultures tend to have the ability to take no for an answer. Irish, not so much.
Will you have a cup of tea?
No. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then that's it. And then later on, are you sure about that cup of tea? And you go, yeah, I might actually. And then you do. But there's never a barrage of questions that follow up that cup of tea. Like, will you have a cup of tea? I was just about to make one. Okay, I will. It's the answer, let's say.
Yeah.
And a biscuit. And she looks through the cabinet. I've no biscuits. How about some cake? No, just a cup of tea will be grand. And you go, what about a small sandwich with your cup of tea before you have your cake? Something savoury and then something sweet. And no, I'm fine, just a cup of tea will be fine. How about with the small sandwich, I make it a few chips because there's nothing nicer than a chip sandwich. And you know what goes lovely with chips? An egg goes lovely with chips, and beans are actually really nice with an egg. So how about some beans as well? And all of a sudden, it's, are you staying for dinner?
Have a feast.
Are you staying for dinner? You might as well stay for dinner because dinner's only a couple of hours away, and by the time you get home, it's going to be too late. So that's it, you're staying for dinner. And then it just goes on and on and on. And then by the time you're leaving, after having stayed for dinner, you're leaving with leftovers for tomorrow for your breakfast. Here, just take that. Bring it. You can bring back the Tupperware. Don't worry about it.
That reminds me of actually going to visit my nanny back in the day. And I thought this was a normal thing, but it seems to be it's a bit of a family tradition, and it's one that we've carried on now. You never leave my nannies without a bag of groceries. You know, she'd empty her fridge and say, take this home with you. And then my ma done the same for us. When we go and visit, and then when our kids come and visit us, we're doing the same.
I remember I rocked up to my house after being in a friend's house, and this wasn't a family to me, just a friend's family. Yeah. Rocked up to my house, and I had a napkin with cake wrapped in it. Did you get the iconic gift wrapped piece of cake?
Yeah.
And you come home and says, whose is that? Where did it come from?
You were at a birthday party, yeah.
No, it wasn't a fucking birthday party.
Well,
I was just there.
Cake,
yeah, I was just there.
Yeah, cool.
So it's fucking nuts. It's absolutely mental. So the bottom line is, if you haven't been hosted by an Irish mammy in your life, get your fucking shit together and get hosted by an Irish mammy, because it's an experience.
It absolutely
and it's the best experience you'll ever have.
Just don't cross an Irish mammy, because that's a whole different experience.
Yeah, and that's a whole different podcast, and I'm not going into that.
Yeah.
So I think the Irish goodbye, being the exception to the rule, is, let me articulate this properly, is saying to the host, now I'm assuming the host is your friend.
Right.
Is a friend of yours. Like, it's not just
an acquaintance, random kind of party after the pub,
Yeah, and these are the parties I've skipped out on at the end of the night. It's never been with somebody who wasn't a friend, who wouldn't interpret what I was doing as any way, but just being, you know what, he's just saving us there. Are you going? Are you not staying? Will you not stay? I mean, it's too late to go now. And all those questions. It's saving you and it's saving me. So when I've left the party, it's been that. And I think you're just saving on all the pomp and ceremony of, are you going to go? Are you sure you're going? It looks like rain.
Yeah,
don't go.
okay.
And stay. Would you not stay?
It's
for
when you
another
say
drink?
that, and you asked me earlier, have I ever kind of dipped out of a party early? No, I'm the dude who's asleep on the couch at this stage.
Okay, so you're the person.
I'm that guy.
You're the person I wish had left early.
Yes.
Right, okay.
I tend to be that guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why I think the Irish goodbye is the exception to the rule.
You don't want to be.
And I think it's a very plausible argument.
It's like you're not imposing on them or feeling that they need to offer you to stay on the couch or
not even that they feel they need to, but they're still hosting people.
Yeah.
It's still a party full of people. I'm not the last person to leave and I just skip out at the end of it.
Yeah, and I suppose there's that bit as well where if you're the first to leave and you make it known that you're leaving, it tends to have a domino effect and everybody starts to leave and then the party's over. You might not want to be the catalyst for that, you know?
I've never considered that because I've never been the first to leave. Yeah, but you could have something there. Anyway, moving on. Hershey's Kisses. Have you ever heard of Hershey's Kisses?
Yeah, it's the chocolate
singular. Yeah. You get a bag of them.
Very American, yeah.
But yeah, Hershey's Kisses. People say Hershey's Kisses were called Hershey's Kisses because of the puckery kind of
thing
you do with your lips when you're putting a Hershey's Kiss in your mouth.
I don't think I've ever seen a Hershey's Kiss. I've heard of them.
I've seen
mentioned
them.
in movies.
I've never had
basically.
one, and I've been offered one and been told you have to make that puckery thing when you put it in your mouth. I was like, no, I don't fucking want one. So, but
no idea what
Hershey's Kisses are not named Hershey's Kisses because of the puckery thing you do with your mouth when you put one into your mouth. Okay. Hershey's Kisses are called Hershey's Kisses because of the noise that the nozzle makes when it's plopping the chocolate down onto the conveyor belt.
Oh, okay. So it's a...
Yeah, it's that kind of sound. Yeah. So it's not the shape of your lips you make with your yap.
I thought they were literally shaped like lips. That's where... That's... Like when I think Hershey's Kisses,
fucking
that's...
jellies, those rubber lip things that you used to get, they're shaped like lips. That's not Hershey's Kiss.
No, I thought it was a chocolate version of, basically that. That just in my head. No, but that's just in my head. Like, no, I've never seen them.
It's, if I remember correctly, I haven't seen them in a long time.
Yeah, no, I just heard them.
It's like a drop.
Yeah.
It's like a drop that drops out of the nostril.
Like a chocolate drop kind of. Is that what they are? Yeah.
It might be.
Like I know chocolate drops. They're like a kind of spherical, but they've got like a little kind of pointy bit.
It looks like a frozen drop of water just after impacting the ground.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I think. That's the image I have in my head.
Like, is it? Okay.
I could be wrong, but that's the image that I have in my head.
But it comes from the sound that they make when they hit the conveyor belt.
Apparently.
That's cool.
And not the stupid shape you make with your mouth when you're fucking eating them or being asked to eat one.
I don't get that.
No, I don't get it at all. You can face up to 25 years in prison for cutting down a saguaro cactus. Okay. You know the saguaro cactus?
Yeah, the kind of tree-limbed.
The one trunk and the two limbs coming out.
Yeah, of course. The like a stereotypical cactus from the cowboy movies.
Well, they're native to Arizona, and it's the United States' largest cactus, and it's the iconic symbol that you think of, or that you would see in a picture, or that would be referenced if they were saying the Wild West.
That's exactly what you think of.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get 25 years in prison if you chop one of them down.
Jesus.
It's like, I think it's a federal offence or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. But
why? Like, what's the kind of thinking behind that?
They're slow growers. They, in the right conditions, and when I say the right conditions, and I mean good soil, I'm not talking about a good, healthy, full of nutrient soil. I'm talking about an arid soil.
They grow in the desert.
A good soil for the cactus to grow.
Yeah.
They can last for 150 to 200 years.
Right, okay.
So when you chop one down, it's not like one will grow up in place in 20 years.
Yeah.
One will have started to grow in 20 years, but it's going to take 200 years for it to reach full maturity.
Okay, that makes sense. And then you have the whole tourist kind of attraction kind of thing of it. So, if they're, people are cutting them down or whatever, they're gone.
Yeah, and I don't know how long...
That's a lot of tourist dollars gone too.
I don't know how long the law is in effect. But America, not being that old as a country, relatively speaking, means it might be a 17 or 1800 law. And I don't know, I could be wrong. I haven't looked this up. This is just something I thought.
That was more modern. I honestly...
As in 1940s, 50s?
Even probably more.
Well, you see,
because I'm thinking more along the lines of they probably bring a lot of tourism to that area. And if they're gone, then, so is that tourist trade. I'd say that's a much more recent law. Be worth looking up.
Yeah, it would. I'm going to look it up.
Or if anyone listening knows the answer to that, please drop us a comment on the Facebook or on
absolutely. I was saying, I think it's probably when the pioneers were moving out west, they would have chopped down. They would have on their homesteads or something, or where they had to have.
And they're a source of water as well. If you're out in the desert, they are a source of water, so they would have been cutting them down and drinking from them,
Yeah, so I don't know, but you get 25 years in prison if you chop them down. Colorado, speaking of Arizona and the arid conditions and the Midwest and all that kind of thing, Colorado has an active volcano.
You said that to me the other day, actually. Yeah, wow. Active, like how active now are we talking?
Right, now the USGS.
Yeah, the Geological Survey.
Yeah. They say, they give information on what active non-active, extinct, and all that kind of thing meant. So I will get to that in a minute, what they've kind of categorized as. But Colorado actually has up to 15 calderas with numerous vents.
Now, you'll have to explain this one to me, right? A caldera is...
a volcano without sides.
So it's basically, it's a pit. It's kind of level ground, and then there's a massive kind of hole.
And Yosemite is a caldera.
Right, okay.
And like, if you read up in Yosemite and the history of it,
so it's not a mountain.
It's swollen and bulged over years, up on one side, down on the other side, and all that kind of thing. And I remember reading an article years ago about someone saying all the water rushed out of the lake because it moved up on one side and all just spilled out.
Flowed out.
And I think that was due to the magma chamber, which is below a caldera.
Right, okay.
I remember reading as well, Yosemite, the magma chamber below Yosemite was not crystallizing, what's the fucking word? Calcifying. Right. It was becoming solid. So I don't know at what stage it is now.
I mean, you're saying calcifying, so it's obviously kind of a chemical reaction as opposed to a cooling. Look, you could write what I know about volcanoes on the back of a postage stamp. I have to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I don't know much about them. I always wanted to be a volcanologist, though.
Did you?
Yeah, like when we were in school.
Star Trek then? Sorry.
There's always one that makes that joke.
I couldn't resist, sorry. Yeah, no.
You really should resist.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But
resistance is
it's when we were in school. Yeah, I did. I'm just deliberately ignoring it. When we were in school, everybody's saying, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a policeman, I want to be a spaceman. I wanted to be all those things. I was like, that'd be fucking cool. I would love to do that. And in my head, I'm going, Jesus, yeah. And picturing myself as a spaceman, a fireman, or a cop.
I've got oasis in my head.
But I wanted to be a volcanologist. I wanted to be studying volcanoes, getting up close and personal with lava flows and lava fields and pyroclastic surges and all that kind of thing.
Wouldn't want to get too close though.
Have you never seen the video of the guy in all the fire retardant stuff? And it's he's got a silver suit on. It's like a
spacesuit.
No. It's like a hazmat suit.
Yeah, but
it's reflects the heat, and he's scooping. He's got like a 4 or 5 foot rod with a cup on the end of it, and he's scooping some partially solidified lava out of a lava
made
flow.
of? I mean, like you'd imagine any kind of metal would just melt.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Bronze or something.
Again, I'm not a volcanologist. I don't know. But this is all the stuff I wanted to do.
Wow.
Yeah. And all the sulfur fields. Like there's sulfur fields in near vents that are toxic that you can only spend so much time in without breathing apparatus.
Yeah.
And there's still life in those things. There's life at those...
in the vents at the bottom. Yeah.
Well, surrounding the vents. Surrounding the vents. But even
teeming with life.
Even under sea, on those stacks that have built up.
Yeah.
And they're releasing massive amounts of fucking methane and all that kind of shit.
Carbon and all sorts of nasty...
But there's still things living around that.
Nasty shit to...
Us,
mammalian life, kind of sea life at a much shallower depth.
Yeah.
But as you said, those things are teeming with life forms of their own.
Yeah.
You know, that thrive on that environment. Yeah.
I was always amazed about that.
Yeah,
but anyway,
very much into oceanography.
The volcano I'm referring to in Colorado is the Dotsero volcano.
Right.
Dotsero. Dotsero.
Okay.
It's 2,460 feet tall.
Okay.
And just to put that in perspective, with people in Ireland who are familiar with the Sugarloaf Mountain, it's 2 Sugarloaf mountains stacked on top of one another high. Okay. It's 2 Sugarloaf mountains is a little bit taller, but it's about the same height. So that's the height of this volcano.
Is the Sugarloaf a dormant volcano? It has that look about it.
Lots of people think it is, and I never thought it looked like it.
I think so.
No, not at all. It never occurred to me, even when I was a kid, that wow, that could be an old volcano.
Oh, yeah.
And I always
as a child, I used to always think it was a volcano.
I always thought it was a nipple on the land. A nipple. If it was any higher, it would have been the Lonely Mountain out of Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah,
That's all I thought it was.
Yeah,
but is it a volcano? Lots of people do think it's a volcano, but it couldn't be further from that.
Like, based on nothing but my 8-year-old imagination, I used to think it was a volcano, you know? And the fact that it looks like one, yeah. Well, it looks like your kind of stereotypical cartoon volcano that you'd see in the old dinosaur movies, you know?
It does, but it still never, it just never looked like that to me.
It looks like a bowl of sugar was poured onto a table.
That's why it's called sugarloaf. And it's not the only sugarloaf in the world. There's a sugarloaf in Rio, in Brazil, and there are multiple peaks in France, and they're called Pan de Sucre, which is
sugarloaf.
Sugarloaf. But it couldn't be further thing from a volcano. Millions of years ago, the sugarloaf was the seabed,
right?
And it was probably closer to magma on the seabed than it is now.
Right, yeah.
Like, it was never ever a volcano.
Rock,
and just through tectonic activity and
plates colliding,
subduction and plates colliding and getting pushed up, it just became the sugarloaf.
Cool. There you go.
This one is the one I want to finish on, and this blew my mind.
Okay.
Glendalough is a glacial valley.
Yeah. No, I did know that.
I love that. And the idea of
just that massive
lump of ice just gouging its way through the land.
And carving something as beautiful as Glendalough.
I thought that.
I'm not religious, but I mean, talk about God's country. You know, it's absolutely beautiful. It's I love Glendalough. I really do.
Yes, so do I.
That and Killarney, and that's another glacial valley as well. Like your lakes in Killarney, they're all formed by glacial movement. Absolutely beautiful, you know. We were in Kerry a few years ago. Now we only kind of passed through Killarney on that trip. We didn't stay around, but we were in Dingle. But just looking at the landscape down there, Dal, I mean, you could understand why people were willing to fight and die for this country when you just look around it. Like,
a lot of people, when they hear or think about Killarney, they think of Killarney National Park, which is a phenomenal place. It's fantastic.
It's beautiful.
There's nicer stuff out towards Dingle. There's nicer landscapes.
What is the pass?
I know the one you're talking about, but I can't remember.
George's Pass, Gregory's Pass sounds right. Something like that. Connor's Pass. Have you ever driven?
Connor's Pass, yeah.
And then we drove Connor's Pass on a day like today. I mean, it's right.
Yeah.
And it's narrow. It's little more than a cart track, but it's one of the busier roads. So you're kind of stopping, like every kind of 100 yards, it has a lay-by cut into the face of a mountain. So you're constantly stopping. But anyway, just absolutely beautiful. But there's an overlook about halfway down Connor Pass, and you can see Skellig Vickle from it.
Yeah.
Which, as a Star Wars fan, that's just epicness.
Even not as a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but no, just to be able to look out and see where Luke Skywalker hid, it's just awesome. Loved it. Absolutely.
Well, that's my list of facts that not everybody's going to know, but they're going to know now. And if you want to be an absolute pub quiz god, get these into your head and you'll be able to recite them when you're needed. And all your friends are going to think, fuck me, you're amazing.
Cool.
See you next time.